Okay, sorry about that. I had to delete that one and start over. I was having a bit of a slow connection there. Um, anyway, I wanted to start out this particular live with talking about something before we get to the actual topic at hand, and that is scammers in the metaphysical realm. I mean, as I had a really good friend, very dear friend, come to me this week and talk about a situation that was happening with someone very close to her. And y'all, you need to know, and I mean, scammers are out there everywhere. They're in all different areas of life. They sneak up on you. They're masters of it, okay? But what you need to know is they are probably some of the most skilled liars. They are the most skilled manipulators, and they know how to get information from you in order to manipulate you into believing you need them, so you pay them and give them money. Okay, you need to know that. You need to know that they are out there, and one of the biggest indicators is when you see somebody out there and they are just boasting about, I am bathed in the blood. I am white light. I am all white light. No, you're not. You lied right there. Okay, that was your first mistake. You lied right there. Nobody's all white light. Okay, matter of fact, that's perfect lead in to a certain degree about what we're going to discuss today. So please, if you run across these people, or a family member has run across any one of these people, and they are boasting about, you know, how much good they can do you and this, that, and the other, and they are white light personified, and you need them, by all means, oh, hi y'all, hi, by all means, A, tell them what they can do with themselves, and B, send them to me. By all means, go right ahead. So I don't have any problem with that. Won't hurt my feelings, and might hurt theirs. So we'll just go ahead and leave that right there. That is a really good lead in, though, to what I wanted to discuss today, and that is shadow work. And it is something that I think isn't talked about enough, definitely isn't done enough. And a lot of times, not that I'm ever going to say that somebody is doing something wrong, but if you're worried about it too much, or if you think it has to be a certain way, then you know, you might not get quite the results that you're hoping you're going to get. And so it never hurts to reach out, to ask questions, to say, hey y'all, I have my readers on today, so woo, I can see you. I can see who's there, and I love you. But so we're gonna discuss that today. I think it's really, really, really important. What I have found over the years, when people talk about shadow work, they tend to want to go with what would be obvious. And I understand. I do understand that. I understand the need to go with whatever might seem the most beneficial at the time. And that would be the obvious traumas, the obvious things that would be causing you conflict or problems in your life that you haven't dealt with. And I get it. But it isn't just that. And when you talk about shadow work, you've got to go back. You know, you've got to go back. I mean, even as far as childhood, if at all possible. And it is in regards to even the smallest thing, because all of that lays the map of who we are, which can inhibit who we're meant to be. You don't think that could happen, but it's true. And it could be the littlest thing. It could be a teacher. I had one in high school. It could be a teacher. She hated me. She hated me. She hated me like she hated other kids that didn't have a lot of money. you know, and she took every chance that she got to humiliate me in front of everybody. And that helped lay a map. That helped lay a map to who I thought I was, which affected how I behaved, what I allowed into my life, and the way that I moved, the way that I made decisions. You know, if you're a child and you come from a difficult parent that never sees any positive in you, regardless of the positives that you have, that lays the groundwork. That helps build the map, which is going to affect the destination of who you're meant to be. Okay? It's kind of like a big, not kind of, it is. Think of a big piece of paper, and you have a destination at the very top of it. Okay? The very top of this piece of paper. And at the very bottom of it, you start as far back as you can remember. Now, if you were going to draw the way that you see yourself getting to that destination, you would draw it one way. And take a piece of paper and do that. Draw it one way. Draw the way that you would see it, knowing that there's going to be trials and tribulations. Then, draw it in a different color, the way that it actually happened. And what were the landmark points that actually caused those swerves and turns and roundabouts? Because we've all done them, okay? We've all lived a life with roundabouts that have caused us to change direction or to move in a different way than we probably should have. That's true shadow work, okay? It isn't just the dark stuff with which we're going to get into, but it's the little things, because the little things lead to the middle things, which lead to the big things. And so if you can actually go back and start looking through all of that and seeing how each one of those instances, as best you can, because I know it's difficult, if you can see how each one of those instances has affected your thought process, your choices, the moves that you made in life, then you are going to be so much better off. You're going to learn so much about yourself. And when you learn about yourself, you learn what you're capable of. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, I know what I'm capable of in a good and a bad way. Okay, I do. That having been said, how great is that? Because I didn't used to. I didn't used to know what I was capable of. I didn't used to know what abilities I had as far as improving my life or seeing myself as a decent human being or a whole person. Okay, so by feeling like I wasn't a whole person, I allowed all of this different trauma in that I didn't have to. And yes, a lot of it was traumatic between, you know, relationships and friendships and this, that, and the other. Different things that I didn't have to allow, but I chose to, because that was where I thought my worth was. So there's an exercise that I really want y'all to try, and we're going to start out small first, then we're going to go back, okay? And that is that map, and then we're going to go on to the darker stuff. Get that big piece of paper, get a big old poster board if you have to, okay? And start where you were as a child, and then start where you want to be at a certain point past where you are now, okay? And be reasonable with yourself, be honest with yourself. What would be the process to get from point A to point B? Take out everything that you've done thus far. Don't add any of that, okay? Don't add any of it. If you were to start out completely fresh, without any influence whatsoever, without anybody dictating steps for you, how do you think that would play out? What are the choices you would make? And draw it out. Draw it out. Put little words next to it. Do the steps. Then, like I said, in a different color, do it how it actually happened. Up until the point where you are now. So give yourself some space from where you are now to where you want to be, so you can see that you have that room for growth. It's a very simple, I say simple, it's a very simple exercise. It does take some emotion. It does take some toughness to go back and look on those situations and see how you were truly affected. You're not going to sit down and do it in one shot. I can tell you that. So I don't want you to feel like a failure if you don't, because you're not one bit. That is going to be your tool that helps you to move forward to the next part. This is the breakdown of all of those things on that first map. Okay, so when you go back and you look at that map and you see where particular situations were affected by the viewpoints, interference, judgment, whatnot of others, and how you went one direction because of them when you should have went this direction, write down, pinpoint those points, and write down how you felt at that time. This is the hard part. This is where it hurts, okay? So you write down how you felt at that time. Write down everything you can think of about how you felt at that time. The words that were said, the feelings that you had. And when I talk about the feelings that you had, this is where we delve deep. Because it's in those particular situations where the maps for self-harm are laid out. Joe, I'm going to cover that because I'm one of those people, okay? And I'm going to get to that here in just one second. But you're going to have to deal with some things that you're not going to want to deal with. Okay, so when you do that, again, give yourself some grace and give yourself some time. Okay, in regards to that, Joe, when you do the first map, when you do it out how it should have been in a perfect world, okay, when you do it how it should have been in a perfect world, that actually helps unlock some of that. Now, I am a firm believer that sometimes the brain does block certain things because your conscious or your soul just can't take it. That's okay. You don't have to remember everything. But you remember enough to know that things have been blocked. And that's important. So it's what you do remember that you are able to recount and write down. It's what you do remember that is all the more important. If it does open up certain things that are just too uncomfortable, don't push yourself. Not yet. Okay? Again, give yourself some grace. Give yourself some time. If it does push you to that point, there is no reason to subject yourself to additional trauma. Set it aside. Give yourself a little bit. Move forward if you need to with another part. You can always come back to it. That's why the writing down and the drawing of it is so important. So important. It gives you a visual aid that helps you in your healing process, which is what shadow work is. It is a healing process. A healing process for you. I have a good friend on here, Nicole, and she put a quote up today, or a meme today, that I absolutely loved. She says, true healers are people that they're not, and I'm going to paraphrase this, they're not the Hollywood version or the cult culture version of people going around and healing you. They're people who teach you how to heal yourself. And that's exactly what this is. Healing yourself. Because at the end of the day, only you, and I don't care how good a therapist is, I don't care how good a psychic is, I don't care how good I am, I'm not going to know 100% how you feel inside. I'm not going to know. You know. But this is where you got to be real honest with yourself. Okay? So, by having those internal discussions, you actually take down barriers, which is the whole goal. Okay? You take down barriers. You take down inhibitors. You take down blockages of energy and the past and other people's bad juju. We're just going to call it that. Bad juju. You take all that away that has been holding you back for so long. Okay? I'm going to give an example here in just a minute. But that is what the whole point of this is. And we're going to get down to the nitty gritty and the darker stuff here in just a second. But when you start doing that, you're going to notice those changes. You'll notice a change in the way you breathe. Seriously. You'll notice a change in the way you hold yourself. Oh my gosh, I do have to give you this example. Strangest thing, okay? I don't know who needs to know this, but I am one of the most tense people you will ever meet in your life. I am high strung. I am, and I hide it very, very well. Not as good as I thought I did, but I hide it very well. But it was years ago. I worked back in Norman, Oklahoma, in dentistry. And I was standing up at the counter getting the paperwork for my next patient. And it occurred to me that I was literally clenching my butt cheeks. For no reason. I wasn't stressed. There wasn't anything on my mind. But I was so tense, unconsciously and subconsciously so tense, that I had clenched my butt cheeks so hard they were like stone. Okay? I don't even know. I have no explanation for that. Except for the fact that that is how deep I was holding everything in. Okay, so that was, Gray was about 8. At 8 years old, he's 21 now. So that's about how long that was. About how long ago that was. That is literally how much I was holding all of that in. And I started to notice that it wasn't just my butt I was doing that in. I was doing it in my cheeks. My face cheeks. Not my butt cheeks, my face cheeks. I was clenching my jaw so bad for no reason. All of that is tension. All of that is tension based on unhealed trauma for me. So doing all of this has changed that dramatically. Can't even tell you. And the most progress has been made regardless of the insane amount of stress I'm under. The most progress has been made in the last 6 months, 6 to 8 months. That's the most progress has been made in that time. And if y'all even get a tenth of the relief, it'll change your life. Seriously. Now, this moves us forward to the darker stuff. Oh, see, Debbie, yeah, all the time. Oh, yeah, same. I've bit through 3 night guards. Lab-created night guards. I'm right there with you, honey. I understand. So, yes, this is for you, okay? But, so this takes us to the darker stuff. This is why I wanted to deal with the other stuff first. And people are like, well, Vanessa, that's pretty dark. You know, that's some hard stuff to deal with. And you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But it isn't this that's coming up, okay? The dark stuff. Let's get there. It's weird. There's a weird way to look at this. Some people are really proud of their dark side and promote it. Some people are really embarrassed of their dark side and hide it. Or some people are like me and they're like, yep, I got it. You don't want to see it. Please don't make me. You know? And I think quite a few people are like that. I think it's the rarity of those that are proud of it and those that hide it. But those are the scary ones for me. Oh, Danita, honey, it's okay. It is okay. I'm putting everything on TikTok and YouTube. So everything will be visible and listenable. That's a word, right? But it's the thing about the dark stuff is you have got to acknowledge it. You have to. Doesn't mean, now by acknowledge, I do not mean act out on. Okay? I don't mean act out on it. But I do mean acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge it. You have to know that it's there. You have to. Okay? It's kind of like having a very, very, very dangerous dog in the backyard that you completely ignore until you have to go out there and get something. Okay? And then it's right up on you and you don't know what to do. That's the dark stuff. And so where this comes into play, and it's kind of scary, because we talked about being honest earlier. You're going to have to be real honest right now. But you're going to have to be real honest with yourself and privately. Okay? You got to write this down too. But those same situations, okay, those same situations we talked about previously. It's why we got that map now, okay? Those same situations. You take those chronologically, please. It works best. I'm only saying that for your benefit. And write them on a different piece of paper. And this time I want you to take your dark self and write out how you wanted, knowing what you know now, how you would have wanted to handle that. And I don't care how bad it is. Okay? Because that is the pent-up anger. That right there is those clenched butt cheeks. That right there is the broken teeth. Okay, from clenching the jaw. That right there is the self-harm. Is the pulling out of your own hair. Is the isolation. All of that. That pent up, I wish I could have done this type of energy. That's where that comes from. Maybe not 100% of it, but a darn good bit. Okay? So you write it out. You already know how you handled it. You already know what you went through. You already know whatever words you said. Okay? So now I want you to write out what you would have done. What you wish you could have done. And it doesn't matter. Again, does not matter what it is. Okay? And then I want you to burn it. Burn it. Twofold. Okay? Twofold. One, you don't want anybody coming across the book with all of that in it when you die. How hard would, I mean, that would be horrible. Okay? Grandkids come across and see Granny was a psycho. You weren't a psycho. You were getting out your anger. Okay? Hi, cat. So do that. Do it one at a time. Give yourself time. Give yourself grace. Rome was not built in a day. Okay? And write it out in detail. And yes, Denise, exactly. About to say burn to get rid of it for yourself. 100%. That is why I want them done singularly. You do them one at a time. Because you're not, that was my own hair stuck on my lip. You could write it all down and burn it all at once, and it isn't going to have that same healing effect. It just isn't. You need to see the progression. Psychologically, you need to see the progression. You need to feel the progression. You need to know that what you're doing is making sense and working. And you're not going to feel that or see that if it's all at once. Okay? So if you do it one at a time or even two at a time, and just get it all out. Get every last bit of it out. Everything you wanted to say, everything you wanted to do, every way that you wish you could have defended yourself. Put it all there on paper. And burn it like there's no tomorrow. Okay? That is one of the most freeing acts you can do. It truly is, because you have said, I am aware of this. I could not do this, but I am aware that if I had the opportunity, this is what my brain wanted. This is how I felt, and I'm honoring that. You can absolutely use a colored candle for it if you want to, Kat. You don't have to. In all honesty, you can stick it in an old coffee bucket and toss a match in it. It really, there's no rhyme or reason. It's whatever you feel is appropriate for you. That's all. And each person individually can decide what works best for them. But it is imperative that you burn it. That is your release. Okay? When you burn it, if you can scatter it elsewhere as opposed to your own residence, that would be best. Okay? Just, make sure that all ashes are out. Make sure that there are no embers whatsoever. Especially if you're in a populated area or even an unpopulated area that is heavily wooded or anything like that. You don't want to start a fire, okay? You don't want to start anything like that unnecessarily. So make sure that everything is out. Make sure it's completely smothered. No lit embers whatsoever, or smoldering embers. And release it to the wind. You're releasing that and no longer holding it into yourself. No longer putting it on other people, because we all do it. Every last one of us. Okay? You're no longer putting that out there into the universe in an energetic way. You're putting it out there in a remembrance way, as I remember this person, I honor this person, but I'm letting this person have peace, because that person is you and they deserve it. So, does that make any sense, the way that I wouldn't bury it, Danita? No, let it flow. Let it flow. You don't want it to become stagnant, okay? You don't want it all to remain together either. So you want it to kind of flow with the wind. Personal preference. If you feel that you need to bury it, you can. But it would not be my recommendation. Okay? Any questions? Let me see. I'm going to look through here now that I got my readers on and see if there's anything. Okay. So any questions that anybody has? Because I don't even know how long I've been on here. I get long-winded and I just get going, and so I'm not sure. That doesn't give me a counter up there, and I wish it did. But so yeah, if you want to, you can, but that wouldn't be my recommendation. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. And again, with your question earlier, about there being, parts of your memory that you've blocked, that's fine. That's fine. You actually can go back if those don't come to you. Then if it's a time frame that you're aware of, but not of instances that you're aware of, acknowledge the time frame. Acknowledge the time frame. And just say, I'm releasing whatever is holding me back from this. I no longer am responsible to hold that in anymore. And allow it to be let go and burn it. Okay, full moon, great release stuff during that time. Yes, that's perfect. That's perfect. Anything to the wind. Anything to the wind. Anything that has forward movement. The wind, water, anything like that. You just don't want it to be sedentary. You don't want it to become stagnant in any way, or to be held together. Personally, when we talk about spells and stuff, we'll talk about that. How you keep stuff together. Let's see here. If it's a person you need to release something from, should you include their name on this paper? That is an excellent question, and one that I want you to be very careful with, okay? Words are power. Intent is everything. So, yes, by all means, you can put their name on that paper, but be very careful. If they're living, be very careful how you put it in regards to the release. Okay? It's you want to be specific for you, but you don't want to cause any unintentional harm. So yes, you can, but just be conscious of how you're doing it and be very careful. Let's see, I was thinking about the fire aspect. I like the water thing though. Absolutely, yes. Water and wind. Water and wind. They're wonderful. They've got great jobs in the universe, and they do beautiful. So, blowing wind, flowing water. Oh, you're welcome, Kat. You are very welcome. So yes, doing those things, it's absolutely astounding, the difference. And there's never perfection, and there's always room for improvement, and there is always room to continue to heal. Nobody's ever fully healed. Okay? They're just not. I'm sorry. I'm going to be that person that just says that. If they say it, it ain't true. Okay? Because it just, if you are, then what else is there? You've got things to do. You've got things to go through. And there's always going to be something else. So, as you continue to go through life, and you have these situations, again, there's never perfection. So these same things that you used with the past, you can apply to the future, to any instances that happen that may trigger some type of reaction from you that is unpleasant for you and for them. And we do have to worry about other people as well. So, I really do hope that makes sense. I appreciate y'all saying so. I don't want people to look at this as, oh, that's too hard, I don't want to do it. Because anything worth doing is doing right. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be hard. So, it's just one of those things. It's how bad do you want it? How bad do you want to feel better? How bad do you want to heal? How bad do you want things to start moving in a different direction for you? How bad do you want to open up your own abilities, which this will? Oh, for goodness sake, y'all. Now granted, when I kicked the door off the broom closet years and years and years ago after blocking it all away, they just kind of bum rushed me. But my clarity since I've been doing this, no question. No question. The difference. So it definitely opens you up to more opportunity for understanding the universe, more opportunity for understanding what happens after we pass, way better communication. Less likely to be affected negatively by communication. Like when I was in the up at the Horridge House and at the high school up in Vinton, Iowa, I wasn't affected negatively at all. I was affected emotionally. It's because when you knew what I knew up there, you'd get emotional, And when you had the interaction that we had in regards to what the Spirit was telling me and what I was having to relay, then of course, yes, I'm going to get emotional. It's very traumatic for them. And therefore, for me, but not to me. Does that make sense? But the clarity was crystal clear. Crystal clear. You know, without a doubt. And the communication, and it sounds so weird when I say this, but the communication in my head, crystal clear. And it's because I no longer have these little walls being thrown up, you know. So that's a beautiful thing. So anyone that's looking to improve on that, for their own reasons, doesn't have to be for, you know, you want to be a reader or you want to do anything like that. Doesn't have to be for anything like that. We should all be honing these skills. Again, I will say it again. I've said it a million times, and I'll say it a million more. I ain't special. None of us that do this are, regardless of how much they want you to think so. Okay? Every last one of you has the capability to do exactly what we do. My job is hopefully to get you there. Okay? I think I'm the only tarot reader trying to put myself out of business. Because if you can communicate with your own spirit, you don't need me. And I love doing it, don't get me wrong, and I love y'all, and by all means, you know, hit me up for a reading. But how wonderful would that be, you know, for you to be able to communicate the way that you want to. So let's get those walls down, okay? Let's see here. All these actions can also apply to those who have already passed as well. Oh, yes. 100%. Yeah, because, yes, they've passed. They're still there. They're still there. You know, regardless of religious affiliation. Okay. Oh yes, I love talking to you too, Danita. Regardless of religious affiliation, I've been doing this. I've been talking to dead people since I was 2, and I will tell you this right now: not one has mentioned that you are stuck in the north or the south, if you know what I mean. Not one. Not one. It is a two-way street. Then come and go as they please. Now, some might be kind of hunkered down here for a little bit and need a little guidance. But it's not permanent. Once they are released of whatever it is that's holding them back, then come and go as they please. So, yeah, they're still around. They're still around. So, communication and all of this can definitely, these actions can definitely apply to them as well. And you might be helping them. I don't know if that is the goal at all, but it can't hurt. You know, I think that's one of the reasons why I've had everything contact me from, you know, serial killers to some pretty bad people. You know, and things, and it's because I'm not put here to judge. I'm not judging you after death. Now, if you're that horrible person still living, I'm gonna judge Dickens out of you. Okay, because there's no reason to not be a decent human being. All right, but if that's following you, which it does, I'm sorry. I don't care what anyone says, y'all. Just because you pass away does not mean that everything's all hunky-dory, because it is not. Far from it. Far from it. So if you can do any healing of yourself here that also heals that other side, yes, by all means do it. And to talk about it, to back up what I was just saying on that, I mean, I have dealt with 36-year-old men that had the mentality of a 5-year-old in death. Okay, due to disability that followed them in death. So, just saying, it's not like the Ghost Whisperer where everything just goes away and everything's just all bright white and beautiful and hunky-dory and, you know, there's lemonade and fried chicken over there. That's not it. Okay? At least not in my experience. Maybe somebody else has a different experience. Okay. But talked to a lot of dead people. And, well, like I said, since I was 2 and I'm 52, I'm going to be 53 in March. So in almost 51 years. So, and like I said, not a one. Not a one has mentioned that. So, take all of this in. It's a lot, I know. And there's no way you're going to remember all those steps unless you were taking notes. So I will be saving this video, uploading it to TikTok and to YouTube, so you can go back to it for reference. But just like I said, start out slow. Don't beat yourself up. Don't expect perfection. Don't expect for all of this to be hunky-dory in a week, because it's not. It won't be, but it will be. That matters, okay? Doesn't have to be all in one day, but it has to be progression forward. And you have to want it. So, this truly falls directly in your lap. How bad do you want to A, feel better, B, carry less anger and stress that is built up for years inside of you, C, increase your communication, your natural psychic abilities, and D, how bad do you want to communicate with those who have passed on? Because this affects all of those. All of those. Can you still do those latter things? Not having that trauma healed? Sure. Prime example right here. But it is so much better. So much better. Okay? And I don't know. That's kind of where I want to leave that with y'all. Like I said, I will download it, put it on TikTok and on YouTube, so you have something to go back to for reference. If you have any additional questions, by all means, just, put them right here in the chat. That way everybody can see and I can answer there, and everybody can learn together. That's all this is about. Let's get school going. Okay? So anything before I hop off here real quick, because I gotta go tinkle. Oh, yep. See you next week. That's true. Mwah. Alrighty. Love you guys, and I will be seeing you. Bye.